The end of World War II heralded the start of the jet era, and aircraft soon found themselves knocking on the sound barrier. The barrier was quickly breached, first by experimental models, then by mass-produced fighters. Scientific achievements forced the world's militaries to reconsider their requirements for vehicles in hopes of guessing the correct image of future aircraft. The Soviet Union's main jet bomber at the time was the Il-28, a relatively fast plane with a typical design that featured two engines in nacelles. The Air Force decided to replace it with an entirely new vehicle. The task was assigned to the Yakovlev Engineering Bureau. The military officials originally wanted to put extra emphasis on the bombing capabilities. In simple words, they wanted a very fast plane that could breach air defenses at high altitudes, something like a perfect supersonic bomber. However, it was soon discovered that this idea might actually lead to something greater. The Yakovlev Bureau already had a frontline bomber project, the supersonic Yak-28. They reused most of the solutions from the aircraft, like the semi-monocoque fuselage and the engine nacelles under the swept wing. The engineers also reinforced the fuselage to improve its load capacity. The work took less than 2 years, because both of the test units were built upon the already existing prototype Yak-26 planes. Alexander Yakovlev, the chief designer, wasn't really interested in the vehicle at first, until he read the test flight reports. The aircraft demonstrated truly promising flight performance. The test flights were so good that the Bureau rushed the aircraft to the state trial stage. As the result, one of the Yak-28s barely avoided a tragedy due to a fuel line malfunction. Thankfully, the pilot managed to land it outside the airfield. The actual trials were uneventful and ended well. The aircraft was the only mass-produced Soviet bomber to achieve supersonic speed in regular flight. The first Yak-28 modifications were produced in limited numbers, including the 1960 bomber known as the Yak-28B. Its main difference from the earlier models was the RPB-3 radar system. While that electronic device couldn't boast a high performance, it was one of the first radar installed on Soviet aircraft, which was enough to keep the plane in service. Other modifications of the Yak-28 were also made, including an interceptor armed with guided missiles, an airborne topographic mapper, a reconnaissance aircraft, and even a model with radio-electronic warfare equipment. In 10 years, the versatile Yak was replaced with the Su-24. It was better in almost every regard, from flight performance to payload capacity. The plane became the main frontline bomber, still in service with many nations today.